Time now for sports news with Ayo Balogun.
Time now for some sports news. Akwa United produced one of its best performances as they secured a precious away victory in the preliminary round of the CAF Confederation Cup. Ubonge Akwa's 35th minute strike gave the promised keepers a 1-0 victory over Congo's Vita club Mokanda in Pt.4. Now the team has a 6 clean sheets, that's from their last six games. And elsewhere, Warrior Wolves also advanced to the next round, and it's in the CAF Champions League after Sao Tome's Sporting Praia Cruz withdrew. Well, they play Sudanese team Al Merrek next. In the English Premier League, Sunderland have boosted their survival hopes with a 2-1 victory over Man United in the day's lunchtime kickoff. Elsewhere, Stoke beat Bournemouth 3-1 at the Vitality Stadium. Troy Deeney's brace helped Watford beat Crystal Palace by 2-1. West Brom stunned Everton by a 0-0 at Goodison Park, while West Ham held Norwich to a 2-2 draw. Shane Long scored the only goal as Southampton edged Swansea 1-0 at the Liberty Stadium. Chelsea climbed up to the 12th position on the league table with a convincing 5-1 win over Newcastle at Stamford Bridge. Arsene Wenger says Arsenal will try to dominate Leicester City when the pair meet in Sunday's first versus third clash in the table. That's in the English Premier League. Well, the Gunners won the reverse fixture 5-2 at the King Power Stadium, and Wenger is expecting another dominant performance from his team on Sunday. Slovakia's Martin Klijan came back from a set down and 3 match points to defeat Nicolas Mahut 6-7, 7-6, 6-2 and reached the World Indoor Tournament final. Klijan has proved hard to finish off in this year's tournament, saving some 5 match points against Roberto Bautista Agut in the quarterfinals. And once again, he proved his power of resistance against Mahut to claim victory and reach his first indoors final since 2012. Now the 26-year-old has won all 3 of his previous ATP Tour finals. Brazilian troops have begun a public action phase aimed at educating the public on ways to eliminate the mosquito carrying the Zika virus, which is causing a public health emergency throughout the country and much of the Americas. Military groups across the country have been mobilized in recent weeks, receiving specialized training to combat the mosquito responsible for transmitting the Zika virus. Scientists believe the Zika virus is linked to a surge in Brazil of babies being born with the brain defect microcephaly. Well, that's a wrap in sports news. I'm Ayo Balogun. The news at 10 continues shortly.
Russia has come under intense pressure over civilian deaths in Syria as the US and France are urging greater caution on the path of Russia. French PM Manuel Valls and US Secretary of State Mr. John Kerry said the civilians were dying in Russia airstrikes. Despite all criticism, Russia, an ally of Syria's President Bashar al-Assad, has consistently denied hitting civilian targets and insisted it is battling terrorists. Their comments were made at a security conference in Munich.
Representatives of major world powers arrived for talks at the Munich Security Conference on Saturday as Russia presses on with its bombing campaign in Syria, even though major powers agreed on Friday to seek a ceasefire. Without much ado, the meeting kicks off, and French Prime Minister Manuel Valls calls on Russia to stop bombing civilians in Syria, saying this is crucial for achieving peace in the country.
France respects Russia and its interests, and our presidents talk regularly. But we know that to find a path to peace and negotiation again, bombing of civilians has to stop.
While speaking to the media, Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev says only regular cooperation between Russia and the United States can lead to a normalization of the situation in Syria.
не так, чтобы искать их.
I want to emphasize that regular cooperation between Russia and the United States will be crucial, without preconditions. We also need negotiations between the Syrian government and the Syrian opposition.
But the Ukrainian president, Pt.4, disagrees, saying Russia is unnecessarily aggressive.
Mr. Putin, this is not a civil war in Ukraine. This is your aggression. And this is not a civil war in Crimea. This is your soldiers who occupied my country. And this is not a civil war in Syria. This is your plane bombing civil population in Syria.
In the meantime, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says that more foreign troops could enter the conflict if the peace plan fails.
If the Assad regime does not live up to its responsibilities, and if the Iranians and the Russians do not hold Assad to the promises that they have made to the international community, then the international community obviously is not going to sit there like fools and watch this. There will be an increase of activity to put greater pressure on them.
Russia and the Syrian government are expected to make big gains in the country. Many Syrians believe the deal falls short and will do little to stop a war that has killed some 250,000 people and caused millions to flee.
History has been made in Cuba today as Pope Francis and the Russian Orthodox Patriarch Kirill held a meeting for the first time and the first of its kind in 11 centuries. At the talks, which is the first between the Pope and the Russian church head since the western and eastern branches of the Christianity split in the 11th century, both men called for restored Christian unity between the two churches. In a joint declaration, they also urged the world to protect Christians from persecution in the Middle East. The Pope has now arrived in Mexico for a 5-day visit. The country has the world's second largest Catholic population. And the main news again. President Muhammadu Buhari has been extolling the virtues of former head of state Murtala Muhammad 40 years after his death. The president, who was speaking at the 40th remembrance lecture of the former head of state in Abuja, called on Nigerian youths to emulate the virtues of hard work and resourcefulness, which the General Muhammad was known for. And that's how it's been on the news at 10 tonight. I want to thank you so much indeed for being a part of it. I am Gimba Omar. On behalf of the entire production team, have a splendid week ahead. Good night.